Hello again, it's Germaine from Bead Spider here. I'm really pleased to bring you my Caribbean pearl bracelet or necklace. It's using a few different techniques, which I like to combine things up. We've got macrame knotting around the sides of the bracelet or the necklace, and you've also got a macrame closure instead of using a clasp, and which I will show you how to do. The nice thing about this is that you don't need to use any metal clasp if you don't want to. You can vary the length of this, depending on whatever you want, so you can make it to fit yourself, which is good. So let's begin and have some fun. Now I've got my base cord here and my knotting cord, and I'm just going to go straight in with just 1 or 2 knots just to give me a neat finish and end. So there we are. And then what I'm going to do is just attach the cords at the bottom like I usually do in 3 different sections. So now I'm going to begin. Now what I'll be using again is I'll use this blue cotton thread so that you can see what I'm doing, and I'll attach that to my split needle. I love these needles. I've got such bad eyesight. I'll just attach my thread to this center cord here. So I've got the end of the thread, and just like we did with the crystal woven bracelet, I'm just going to tie that little knot on the end here. So again with it, it's left over right, and then just bring the center one through, which is this one here, and then I just hold the knot and see how this one is at the back. I'm going to bring it through to the front and bring it over and through, and you see I get quite a lot of knot there, and I can just pop that right there in the middle, and then I will do another. So again, left over right, that one through the middle. I just hold my finger in the knot. See, this one is above, so I'm going to take that under and up. There's my needle. And again, I've got lots of knots so that when I bring that in there to the middle, that's not going to go anywhere. Now this thread, again, as I did with the crystal woven bracelet, I'll just weave that in and knot it at the end, so I can pop that out of the way. Now I can bring in my first lot of beads. So I'll pick up one of the 6mm, which is the larger one, and one of the size 11s. They're only little tiny guys, but they're meant to be invisible really. And then what I'm going to do is I'll bring it down right up here next to the thread. You can see this thread is coming over the top here, and I'm going to just bring that little size 11 out of the way, and I'm going to go back through that seed bead, and I'm going to hold it in place with my finger, and then when I bring the thread all the way through, what will happen is that little seed bead will be on the end and be holding it in place. Now it's just sitting on top, so I need to weave my thread. So I'm going to go underneath, over this one, and under this one. So it's because my thread's on top, I'm going under, over, under, and then I'm going to just pull the thread through. So there's the first one. Then I'll get another size 6 and another size 11. And again I'll do the same thing. I'll bring it down to this end, and again, now you see here the thread's coming underneath, so when I weave I'm going to go over, under, over, but this time I go back through the seed, over here, under here, and over there. Get over there. There it is. So can you see that? Over, under, over. And again, if I hold the seed bead next to the cord in position, when I pull on the thread, this little size 11 at the end comes up, and we'll hold that in place. And then when I pull on it, there they are in place. So now I'll do another. I'll go for a greeny one. And again, another size 11. See, the best way to do it is you just pick the bead up with the needle. Don't try and pick up the bead and try and fiddle about and find a hole. It's much easier that way. So now again, my thread's on top here. So I'll just go back through this larger bead, underneath the cord, over the second cord, under the third. See? Under, over, under. Hold the bead in place. Pull the thread through. Whoops. And pull it up. And see, they're starting to bunch. And now I'll do some more. So it's quite fun, it's quite relaxing. I suppose it's like basket weaving a bit, where you can just sit quietly and just enjoy an afternoon of not having to think about too much. So again, we're underneath here. I'm going to go back through that larger bead, over the first cord, under the second. If you can't get to it, use a little under the second and over. So over, under, over. Hold it in place and pull the cord through. When you use the invisible monofilament, you can't see the threads at all when you're finishing. And see, then I'm pushing it up and you see they're starting to bunch. And of course what happens is they'll eventually, as we carry along, go around all sides of the thread, and you get a complete circle. So now we're back on top, and I'll go for a dark green one this time. And another seed. And again, bring it up to the side here. Have that bead on the outside. Now see, I'm on top here, so I have to go under. So through the larger bead, underneath the thread, over the middle thread, and under this thread. So it's under, over, under. It's quite easy. Hold it in place. And then pull your thread through. Oops, I got my scissors caught. There we go. Pull the thread through. And then see, now it's really bunching, and now I can push it. Okay. So there we go. So I'm just going to continue along, adding beads in this same manner until I get to the required length I want. Now if you want to make it thicker in the middle, you can always put bigger beads or even 2 or 3 on at the same time to get a thicker length. So I'm just going to continue on, and I'll see you at the other end. So here we go. Over, under, over for the final one. And pull it through. And don't forget to bunch them up when you've done them. Now I've come to the end of the bracelet, and I'm going to end off the thread, and this would be the same way if you needed to change your thread halfway through. So I'm just going to bring my needle through one of the seeds and up through the seed bead, so the bead and the seed bead, and I'll bring it through, and then I'm going to weave it around and back down again, and that's going to help. And see, I'm moving the board around to make it easier so I can see what I'm doing. There we are. So then, see, I'm bringing it back down again, and that little extra weave up and down just stops our thread from running amok. Then what I'm going to do is over that center cord, I'm going to loop the thread around it. Make sure you get your scissors out of the way because you don't want to cut your thread at this stage. I'm going to make a loop, if you can see it, here. And then I'm going to bring my needle through the loop. So see, I've made a loop around this cord here, and then I'm just going to put my needle through the loop and then pull up the thread. And see, it's made a knot there, and I'll bring that right up into the center, and I can pull that quite firmly, and then I'll do it again. So under and around that center cord, I think I've got two there. Yep. Under and around the center cord to make a loop, and hopefully you can see that loop there. And then I'm going to just put my needle through the loop and pull up the thread, and then position that knot right in the center there and pull it up nice and tight. Now, the other thing you can do if you want to as well, you can stop at that point, or what I would probably do is weave up and down one or two more beads and then tie another knot before I cut it off close to the end. Of course, if this was you finishing, if you needed to bring in a new thread, because you'd run out, you'd then, as we did in the beginning, tie your new thread to that center cord and with the knot and start again. Now you can see, interestingly enough, it's quite circular and round. So those little beads, because I've kept pushing them up as I've gone, I've got quite a nice circular bracelet or necklace. This is actually particularly nice as a necklace. Now to finish off, I'm going to keep that center cord pinned down at the bottom, and then I'm just going to do one or two square knots at the end. I'm just going to get that thread out of the way there. I'm just going to put a little dab of glue in the center of the knot, and of course you can make this section that I'm doing here as long or as short as you wanted to. For example, if you wanted to do a necklace and just have a short center section, you could do a long row of threads. So there's that finished. I'm just going to put a little dab of glue in there. I'm going to use this base cord to make a circle, and I'll put a sliding knot in. I've been making this necklace, and you can see I've added here on either side an equal length of the square knots, and I'm up my last one here, and what I do is to make sure that they're correct is I count the number of loops along the side to make sure that I have an equal number of loops on the opposite side. That way I know that it's going to be the right length, and you can make this 2, 3, 4 inches each side, whatever you want to go with the rest of your necklace. And now we've got to do the sliding clasp. What I will do here though is I will glue this, but I won't do it now. I usually use the F6000. You can use a super glue, but if you use a super glue, it can darken the thread. So I do prefer this because it does take a little longer to dry, but it's a very strong bond and it doesn't leave any discoloration at all. What I usually do is I'll just push the thread back a little bit. I'll come in with some glue in here and then close it over while the glue is still wet, and then put it away to dry. I don't have time to do that now because I want to show you how to finish off with the sliding clasp. Now I'm on a bead mat now, and I've got my two ends. Now don't worry if at the end these two ends aren't equal. You can always, you know, adjust them later on, but what we do need to do is we need to overlap them in a circle like this. And to make my life easy, what I usually do is I'll come in on my bead mat and I'll pin it across like that to hold it in place, and then the same at the other side. So see, then they're sitting nice and straight next to each other, and again I'll pin it. And so now I'm ready to work here, and I've got a good work surface. I've cut myself another piece of thread, and it's about 50 centimeters long, half a meter, and I'm going to bring it underneath the two cords, bring the ends together so that I can find the middle point, and here it is. And then I'm just going to do just a simple knot and bring it in, and then just check that you've got an equidistance on both sides. Now I'm going to start my macrame knots, which you've seen before, over the top, under both of the threads, and then up through. I've done that side. Now the thing with this here, you don't want your knots too tight, but it really doesn't matter because this thread is quite forgiving, and it's quite, as we call it, smooth and slinky. It doesn't matter if you do it tight, really. But if you were using a cotton cord or something, you would have to do it a little looser. So I'm just going to do this for about an inch or two. You can do it for as long as you like, because this is going to be at the back of your neck, and this will also extend the length of your necklace. Now the nice thing is, the length of these bottom cords, they will actually extend your necklace, because this thread is quite a good firm thread. You can actually, which I'll show you later, you can leave it extended and therefore extend the length of your necklace, or you can pull it up tight and then make your necklace shorter. So it means the same necklace can be worn with different clothes for a different effect, just by having slightly longer cords either side here. Now notice as it comes undone a little, just give it a little tug and a pull before I bring in the next one. So just going from side to side until I get to the other end. Right, I think I've done enough now. I'm just down to my last couple of knots. I think this is more than enough for the back of my necklace, but you can, as I said, make this whatever size you want, smaller or larger, but I think this is enough for my sliding clasp. So now, if I take off the pins, I'll tell you about the gluing of this first. Now with this you have to be very, very careful when you glue, because when you glue these knots here, but whatever you do, don't get any glue on this middle knot, these middle cords, because if you do, then your knot won't slide. So you just put a little bit here and a little bit here, and then just close it over very lightly, and then just let it dry. I also tend to put a tiny bit of glue up the sides here and here, so that when I come in I can cut it right there and there. Now the thing with the sliding knot, you've got these two extra cords, and as I said, you can make these as long as you want to, because when I pull them up, see, it's quite firm. Then I've got a nice complete closure for my necklace, but if I want to, I can actually pull it all the way out, all the way. See, there's my 2 knots at either end. Hang on, pull this one through as well, and then as you can see, look, I've got a much longer necklace range. So the good thing about that is I can wear my necklace long if I want to, or if I like, I can pull it up all the way and wear it short.